Great. Let me introduce. Hi, everybody. We're starting the recording. This is Perfect Connections for the date. What is it? October 6th, 2023. Let's go around real quick and introduce ourselves. I'm going to come back to Ellen. She can fill us in on how things went last week. And
I can introduce myself quick. Hi, Ellen Hafner, parent educator in Northfield.
yeah.
And I honestly, you guys, last Friday was so long ago. I don't even remember what we talked about. Sarah, you were there, yeah?
We talked about a couple random different things. I think people had questions that we talked about. Oh, this is okay. I'm on the spot.
Sorry. I feel really
Someone
dumb.
just came in the room and started talking at the same time too. So
I just feel dumb that I don't remember. There were some questions like about referrals and
you also talked about Dr. Becky. So we talked about some changes like having to pay for resources. Yeah,
it was good, but there was nothing groundbreaking or anything. So yeah,
agree.
Well, getting together and providing
supporting one another. That was the
was
the groundbreaking piece. Yeah, groundbreaking piece. So yeah.
Yep. Good. Well, thank you for doing that. I never like it when I can't be there, but sometimes I can't. And so I appreciate that you were able to continue on. Not that I had any questions about it. And for the unfacilitables to somehow be able to facilitate ourselves for an hour is always a wonderful thing. Anyway, all right. So Ellen in Northfield. I'm Susan Walker, formerly from the University of Minnesota, and now pretty much anywhere I want to be. And I'm going to turn it over to Julie.
All right, I'm Julie Schiffer, and I am parent educator in Owatonna. And I'm coming to you from home today because I have Fridays off. I don't know if they can tell. I'm pretty happy about that. Made my life easier.
Julie, you want to pick someone?
Sure. How about Nikki?
Okay, thank you. I'm Nikki Murphy, and I am a parent and family educator and home visitor in Robbinsdale. And Sarah, you talked, but you didn't introduce yourself.
Sorry about that. I am Sarah Hansen. I am a parent educator in 2 districts in Ely and in St. Louis County, where I'm in 2 schools, Babbitt and Tower Sedan. So northeast corner.
Great. Yeah, one of the things that I love about the internet is the ability for us to reach out multiple places and around the state of Minnesota, which is very large geographically, 200 by 300 miles. I figured out one day, and then and also nationally and internationally. So on the days that our out of state people are able to join us. So I want to get to the topic of the day. This is a new feature for Perfect Connections. Somehow in our conversations over the last couple months, we've talked about having one focused topic, and then we could promote it, and then people know what we're going to be talking about. And the thing that I like about today is that this is really a living thing anyway, because we're going to talk about resources, resource sharing. And as you could see from the little spreadsheet, I figured that would be efficient. So rather than our typing in the chat, this is a book title and stuff like that, and then picking from our conversation why we like it, we just, create the spreadsheet to begin with. There's already some people who have contributed to it, so that's great. And then this can just be kind of a living thing, and because it's editable, I think somebody may have already added another worksheet or something. So that's always, just another category. So we'll talk about that. But I also want to get to anything you all want to talk about today while we have you together. Are there any topics or questions or announcements or anything that anybody would like to share with the group?
I just have an idea for another topic because I feel like this is something we could really dive deep in. How do you help parents who very clearly don't like their kids? Just complain about them constantly. And it's really like it's a goodness of fit issue, right? Like, just how do you help parents who just dwell on the negative constantly, especially if they have a second child who is a little more, shall I say, easier to parent? Yeah, I just feel like there's got to be some targeted ways to help families, parents who just their child's a problem child and everything he does is a tantrum, and you know, how do you help them see the good? So, but that's for another day, so we can put that on the topic list.
Sure.
Yeah, for a deep dive.
Yeah. And of course, my brain immediately goes to therapy mode, you know. Anyway, that's great. Thanks. Yeah.
100%. Right.
Yeah.
Like I would
Yeah.
love to do that. But again, like I've got like, I'm one of those, like, that can't be our answer every time.
Right.
'Cause,
Right.
you know,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yep. I mean, what is that deep seated, like, what else is going on in that person's life that leads them? I mean, it's like venting, right? I mean, and I know I'll start talking and then we'll be on that topic. But yeah, that's something I'm really looking forward. And I appreciate, Nikki, your, yes, Newberger's ideas of cognitive structure. The other nice thing, while I'm on a stream of consciousness and Nikki raises Newberger, is an advantage of our sort of identifying a topic ahead of time is then we can also maybe pull out some of our former resources. Like I see Newberger and I'm thinking, yep, let's pull out some of those pieces because that could contribute to the conversation about an issue like this. So thank you, Nikki. I really appreciate that. Anyone else? Any other things, things you want to address today besides the topic issue, events? Anything coming up? Just a reminder, the Menafee workshop is a month from now, about a month from now, I guess. Ellen, that's the November 3rd or 2nd? I don't know. It's that Friday. It's that first Friday. But I'm speaking on boundaries, and but it looks like a good day. There's a lot of really wonderful things set up. So I guess that's my only announcement. Anyone else before we get moving on this? All right, hearing nothing. All right, so this is I'm spreading the I'm spreading the spreadsheet that I put out there for us to populate. And let me share my screen so that, all right, share screen, there we go. And if I do this, share, and immediately go to email, there we go. All right, and done. Okay, so, oh good, and you're there. So this was just the general, so these are the workbooks or the worksheets, books for professionals, and then books that we would recommend to parents, and then apps. I call these various worksheets just from our own conversations through the couple years on the various kinds of things that we've shared in Perfect Connections. So any kind of apps that we might recommend to parents or that we use ourselves, podcasts. We oftentimes will talk about a particular episode, or it could be, you know, an entire series and that are really great. Websites, and including the URL, and then various YouTube channels. If there's, visual learning is a whole different ballgame. And sometimes for entertainment purposes, for, just having an observation, say, of a classroom, or somebody that shows you a how-to, they can be very, very powerful. So we wanted to include those as well. So before we get into kind of the nitty-gritty, so I guess two questions then for the group. One is, and this is like to the point of the spreadsheet, is there any changes that you would make if we're going to use this as some sort of just a place to plant titles of resources and share a little bit about why we like them? Is there anything you would change about this? Because we can certainly do that. It's very editable. The main thing is we want this to be useful to people.
Can you add a category that has like the year for year published or year the podcast came out, just so that we know how current it is?
Sure. So I'll go to podcasts.
That's a super good idea, because I said last week how disappointed I was in 0 to 3. Their stuff is old. I'm not handing that stuff out anymore. It's from 2008. I'm not giving resources to parents from 08. Not doing it.
Yeah, so one of the things that came up was people were using Pathways instead for development resources in particular.
So would that be, so I just put in year released? Or is there a better way to describe that?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay. All right. And then
I'm going to do wraparound. I'm going to do the wraparound thing so that when like, why do you like it? So that it like doesn't disappear. Oh, it's already done. Never mind. Okay.
well, I put it on, oh, hello. I do put it on stuff, but all right. That's what I want. Yeah. But I'm never sure whether it holds like for everything. So, like one, yeah, okay. All right. So you're released. Good. Thanks. Is that,
I think this looks great.
Should we also have anything like year release for this other content?
Yeah, I think putting the year on everything is a good idea.
Okay. All right.
Because even Elizabeth Pantley, she was kind of a hot deal when I was parenting littles, and then I used her material a lot, and now I don't anymore.
Okay.
I also stopped following her content when she was adamantly refusing to recognize that there were same-sex parents. She was talking about safe sleeping and moms and dads in bed. And a mom wrote, she's like, well, there's mom in bed, or dad and dad. And she was like, whatever. She wouldn't change the graphic. So I've kind of lost a little respect for her because that content's that's not inclusive content. So I'm not a fan of her anymore.
Ellen, who was that was not inclusive?
Elizabeth Pantley. She was a big deal. She had the no cry sleep solution, the no cry potty solution. And I don't really know that she's updated any of her material. Julie, do you know? Have you looked? Because for a long time, because Corrine used her stuff a ton. She was a big deal.
I haven't seen anything updated. I mean, I haven't looked that hard.
I haven't either, but I also just haven't seen anything come up. But no. I think the year is important because sometimes stuff kind of becomes a little, I don't want to say irrelevant, but not as accessible, I guess. Like that's what I love so much about Dr. Becky, because she's kind of I guess she's basically the new Elizabeth Pantley. If I'm going to tell someone to listen to someone, it's going to be her.
I do think that sometimes the old stuff is still fine.
Like Mary Sheedy, like her stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. But if I use it, I kind of say, I realize this is old, but the information is still
accurate.
Yeah. It's nice to not blindly hand out something that's 20 years old without acknowledging that it is.
Some little caveat. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like everything that, all the affirmations and stuff, that's even older. I mean, the affirmation ovals, I don't know how they're not fresh and new, but boy, are they great,
Yeah.
So
I still use them, excuse me.
same. I love the ovals. I love that. That's like one of my favorite things to do. And I'm like, these look outdated, but trust me, they're terrific.
I'm adding in Jean Isley Clark just because people
Yes.
that are listening might not know the ovals.
Thank you.
Huh?
Yes, the ovals. Jean, her name wasn't coming to my brain. Thank you, Nikki.
Is that, or is that, you're doing that, Nick? Just so I can be on the screen.
I'm just saying, I was just saying it auditorially so that people could hear it. I didn't write it anywhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I actually use like the jobs of the child in the different stages from Jean Isley Clark all the time, because it is really still
So
a
that
really good way of
raises,
looking at it.
yeah, so that raises, is that a website then? I mean, because we want to be able to capture some of these things. And I think what happens to us as professionals is like, we'll be in a conversation like this and we'll share this kind of stuff, right? And then, and some of it is digitized, some of it is still in a hard copy book that you get if you're lucky from Half Price Books or the library. So how do we capture, and I don't want to make this a problem. I want to make this like a progressive opportunity or something. But so for this kind of thing, like with the ovals and things like that, where would somebody find that?
Well, the original book is called Self-Esteem, A Family Affair.
Well, and welcome, Mary Kay.
I know, old facts, old people. And there's
Growing Up Again.
Growing Up Again is
Yeah.
a more recent one.
That's
But
a
I think-
book. I don't know
I
if
think
you-
the U of M actually, because of the extension services, right, they house her stuff. So I would have to do some digging, but the U of M actually adopted her stuff to bring it into perpetuity. Right?
Okay.
I mean, they've got like they were running classes, and was it I want to say David Bredehoff, but no. You guys, who are her proteges? They're still working with it.
They did the over it was in giving too much. Ellen, you're on mute.
Sorry, the overindulgence.
Yeah,
Like,
Yes, the overindulgence
how
stuff
much
was with
too much.
yeah,
Mhm.
was with David Bredehoft, and that's the newest publication I know that she had.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm putting Self-Esteem, A Family Affair under books for parents.
I kind of feel like we could even say like general description and why. So I think even in the why do you like it? And if we start saying things like, this is a book from, whatever, 1992, which may feel old. However, like if we start putting in our little pieces, like this holds up, then people will be like, oh yeah, that means that we don't have to throw out anything that's older than 1995. You know what I mean? Like, I think if we just start making those notes,
Yeah.
then anybody looking at this will be like, oh yeah, okay, cool.
I'll just say, all right.
Now I'm Googling, and I'm on the University of Minnesota extension page, and it does appear that there was another book, Words That Help. That's actually what the book is called, Affirmations for Any Age, Every Stage. And it was just Jean Isley Clark. And it seems that she's got the whole book is about the ovals and the developmental stages and how to use this. So Words That Help.
Is there any other info there, Nikki, in terms of publication or anyway, you can give me the language, or we can just move on and we can add in more on this later. I can imagine this is really exciting viewing for people who are watching the
I
video.
think it's worth
Watching
saying,
Susan type.
saying it's about the ovals so that people have like or not, I don't know.
The affirmation ovals you might want to put, and if they don't know what that means, then they might want to read the book. But if people have access to where to the ovals, are they still for sale anywhere? Or would you have to make your own?
They're still available. I think. I mean, I found them. I have them all.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure you can still access them all online.
okay.
If not, let me know because I will just put my folder link. I'll put my link to all my folders in my Google so that people can access it. But they're in color, they're in black and white. Jobs of the Child, I think, is still available online too. So
Good. Oh, all right. So so when we think about just the formats of, so the titles, the various categories, books, apps, podcasts, websites, YouTube channels, and then we have basically the title, the author, the year it came out. I think with websites, I put in as it regularly updated because a website oftentimes won't have a date on it, but what's important is that it's not something that was created 15 years ago and nobody has really revisited it. So especially if it's a site that we're referring parents to that is research-based or, sharing updated information. All right, so in the podcast websites, YouTube channels, general description, what do you like about it? So any other changes to the layout? Okay. Show me a thumbs up if we're good. We'll move on. Oh, hi, Yuji. See, now I can see my gallery. Hi, Yuji. So we're sharing resources today, and we're beginning with just looking at the layout of this little baby spreadsheet. And before we start getting into the kind of the nitty gritty of specific things. Yeah, so anybody else with any alterations to our format here? Okay. All right, well, hearing nothing, then should we just, how do you want to do this? I mean, you all have editing privileges on this. And because I released this or I sent this out ahead of time, any of the content that's in here, I don't know if any of you contributed it, but if it was contributed by other people and they're not able to be here to talk about it, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time about it except to say that it's here. And then if there are people who might know of this, like Connecting to Learn, anything else to say about it? But anyway, so here we have on books for professionals. What are those books for professionals that you like, you use, you would recommend to other people?
So last week, Good Inside came up in the discussion.
Good Inside, Sarah?
And I just got a copy, so I haven't read it. Ellen, I think you might have read it.
well, I've read chapters of it.
Okay.
It's also free to listen to on Hoopla, which is a library app that connects to your library.
Hoopla?
Hoopla.
Okay. Uber?
What?
Transcription. I was just reading Hoopla and the transcription went Uber.
Oh, Uber? Oh gosh. Sorry for yawning.
And then why is that a recommended book? Or segments of it?
She's like they call her the child whisperer. She's just really good. She's just
Hmm.
really good right now. Everything she does is rooted in research. Everything she does is short and sweet and totally tasty little tidbits for parents. She has a podcast too, but you got to listen to them right away because she puts them behind a paywall eventually. But she does some free content and she does some, paid content, but she's just really something. And my parents just really get it with her. They're like, yep,
Hmm.
I did this little thing and it really worked. And I joke that she's going to put us out of jobs. Like she's that good.
I agree. I just listened to her. It was a TED Talk that she did on apology and repair, and how and why apology can often shut down a conversation, but repair opens it up. It was long. It was maybe 14 minutes. So it's something to think about, like, how would we use that length or that content? Perhaps just creating a slide deck and playing a part of it, or for a group who really wants to listen to it. It's long, but an important topic.
So is that for parents? Okay. So I'm going to go over to the next tab then. So if anybody could add maybe the title of that book and her name, it sounds like it would be really engaging. And then also if you want to throw in that link to the TED Talk, if you have it, Nick, because it does sound really, really great. And we should know what our competition looks like, right? So while we're on books for parents, so we've identified a couple Jean Ilsley Clark books. What other kinds of things do you recommend to parents? Or do parents like bring to you saying, this is the best thing ever?
Frankly, I don't recommend any books to parents. I think
Okay.
it's really overwhelming. What I will do is say there's a great chapter on something in this book. The only book that I tell every parent that they should own and read the first 50, 60 pages of is The Whole Brain Child. That's legit the only book I say, like, if you're going to buy one parenting book, this is the one to start reading. And I literally say the first 60 pages is all you need, I think.
Mhm.
Where is mine? I have it. I think I have it even marked like, stop here. Yep, look, I was using it this week. Pretty sure it's just page 60.
And why do you like those first 60 pages?
It just explains explains the brain. It explains the brain. It explains the brain in such wonderful, easy. It's upstairs brain, downstairs brain. It's just so good. To page 61, pretty much. Oh no, page 65. So literally it's this right here. Just say, read that right there.
So then
The
would
rest of it is still good, but for kids 3 and like 4 and under,
Yeah.
that's meat and potatoes right there.
Okay, well, this brings up a good question then. If the person you were just talking about that you saw the TED Talk and that Jenny or Sarah just got the book from and hasn't read yet, Ellen, you said you've read different chapters. Is that a book for professionals or is it a book about parenting?
It's a book about parenting. It's
Then
written
why-
for parents.
Then why don't you recommend it to parents? Oh, so
Oh.
why wouldn't you?
I would recommend Good Inside to parents. I'm sorry. I it's so new, I forget about it. Like, I would say if there was only one book, a parenting book to have on hand, it would be Good Inside and this one.
Okay.
Those are the only two. Sorry. It's so new, I forget that it's like those are the only 2 books I recommend.
Okay.
Full books. Like, buy this book. Otherwise, I don't even tell parents to buy a book. I'm like,
Right.
check it out from the library. But these, like, I feel like are really good to own.
Okay.
I'll add in brain, I think it's like brain body parenting. A very similar content. But different authors writing in different ways, but it's Mona de la Hook. And I can find it, but it's the mind body connection, and she deals with trauma.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of it. I'm hearing a lot about that one myself. I just haven't picked it up yet.
Is The Whole Brain Child Dan Siegel?
Yeah, Dan Siegel, Tina Bryson.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yep. And they also have, they do the Yes Brain, which is also really good. No Drama Discipline, which is also good. And The Power of Showing Up. Those are all really good, but I think those are all after this one. And this one is like foundational
Mhm.
stuff. There's also a workbook that goes with this. the
I
whole-
like the workbook but I think it's the later workbook.
Oh, there's a second one?
I thought there were two, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me look.
I thought maybe Ellen, you had a philosophical thing about recommending books to parents.
No.
No, okay.
It's just this generation of parents are not readers. Some are. I'm not going to say all, but in general, generally speaking, they are about podcasts. They are about mini videos. They're about little snippets that you can get on social media.
Mhm.
I will occasionally have a parent who reads a whole book. I've had parents who have read Dr. Becky's whole book. I've
Mhm.
had parents who have read this whole book. But I would say out of my 90 parents right now, I maybe could say 3 of them would actually read an entire book on parenting.
Mm.
And they're the ones who didn't need it in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say that given that the books that you really like, and this isn't just Ellen, this is anyone, the books that you really like or for parents would also have a podcast and or a website
Mhm.
and or have videos on YouTube, maybe TED Talks or things like that? You know, because my point being, there's the hard copy book, and there are different ways that people consume content. And so while we're completing this, it might be like, then we also jump over to the podcast tab. And if Dr. Becky has this, then Dr. Becky also might have a
Right.
podcast. And then also, what is that YouTube channel? So I don't mean to create more work for us, but I'm just more thinking about different formats that really good content might be in. That if we're talking about a book, it might be someplace else.
Well, and what we could do is put a little asterisk at the very top and just say asterisk denotes that this resource has cross
Yeah, platform. Mhm.
resources.
Yep.
Because honestly, like even for me, since podcasts have become such a big deal, and I've said this before, but now that podcasts are like authors have podcasts, I will often listen to I'll just scroll their podcast and look for a topic and then do a deep dive on the topic as I'm creating a new lesson plan. Because that's much faster for me than flipping through the book and trying to find what they're talking about.
Right. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Good. So for the sake of time, so I think the parenting books, and then if there's any other platforms. So Dan Siegel, and I think this is the other thing, or those authors that are very dependable. They write well. They write in a clear, legible kind of way that is very engaging. Doesn't feel like people are talking over our brains, or they're not being patronizing. So Mona, Dr. Becky, Dan Siegel, certainly Jean Ilsley Clark. Are there other go-to authors that have really resonated with you for parents?
I also love
Mary Sheedy Kursinka.
Mhm. I'll just put her
I
name.
also love Dr. Eliza Pressman. She has a podcast, Raising Good Humans. She has a book coming out, but she's great.
Kinka. Okay. Okay. What was her name, Ellen?
Eliza, Aliza.
Okay.
Pressman, Pressman.
Oh, Alyssa.
Eliza, Aliza.
Oh, it is. Okay. That is the way I had it. Okay. Good. Other podcasts that you love? You guys
So,
are
yeah.
big on recommending podcasts, that's for sure.
So, yeah, so did you write Raising Good Humans on that one? Sorry, I'm gonna go look at the.
I didn't have, I can only.
That's okay. I'll put it on. Oh, you did. Okay. Yep, I got it.
Raising.
And I also love Flusterclux. Oh my God, I love it so much.
Is that a different one? That's not.
Sarah Hardy is a huge, Sarah Hardy is the one who got me onto Flusterclux. It's entirely about anxious. It's just, she talks a lot about anxiety. So helping anxious parents, helping anxious kids. Hi, Krista. It's just so good. I love her stuff so much.
And who's the?
Lynn Lyons. Oh, I'm putting it in, sorry.
Oh, good, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not the location. Okay, good.
I got it.
Actually, let me do this and add account to the rate. Yep, okay. I'll say host. All right, good. Good. Welcome to those of, hi Carissa. Nice to see you. So obviously, we're just doing the really exciting thing of writing text into cells in a spreadsheet. Yeah, so now we're talking about podcasts. Other podcasts.
A good one too. I can't remember her name though. I can put it in later. I don't have it up. Curious Neuron is what it's
Oh,
called.
okay.
Oh,
And you have
I've
access.
listened to a ton of them, but I've liked the ones I've listened to.
Great. And Carissa, you have access to the this spreadsheet, right? Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Good.
added a book to the books that professionals are using. I don't know that I've ever had a family read it, but I love Zaretta Hammond's Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain. So I put it into here. She has a great grid that illustrates cultures that value individualism as really high ranking versus collectivism. And when we talk about values and how it is that people come to really internalize those things and how we find balance between the two, that's been a really great resource. So there's a grid in there and you can access the grid via the website that I added to the spreadsheet as well.
Excellent. Yeah, I always, as a teacher, as an educator, there are those things that I will read just for my own background knowledge, edification, and sometimes it could be higher level stuff. Sometimes it's humorous stuff, whatever. Or I'll read, I think probably what I lean towards a lot, because I too find that crossover between a lot of the content stuff that I would read. I would also recommend, usually if it informs me, it's going to inform a parent, and I'm just critical about the way that it's written versus the actual content. But more what I'm likely to read for or have in my library for professional stuff is more on process, and as Nikki, as you're talking about, like those, like about culture, around community building in a classroom, maybe around technology integration, or on assessing learners, those kind of process things that I don't think, I wouldn't say they wouldn't be interested in them, but they really inform me as a professional. Anything else from the professional support?
I added What Happened to You, Bruce Perry and Oprah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good book about trauma.
Excellent.
It's actually a good listen to hear them reading it back and forth and their stories. Okay, I have listened to, not recently, but I have shared Mr. Chaz podcasts with families.
Yes.
So that would be one I guess I would add.
Mhm.
I've
And
also shown his clips in class
yeah,
Yep.
because his delivery, something about the way that he can share about not spanking that like I don't feel like I can get away with, you know?
Oh, totally.
He's like, our children are whole people, you know, and he like gets into the camera. And I don't know. I feel like people, I don't know. It just, his delivery is so good. Like he can do what I can't.
Mhm.
And he's just so warm and wonderful. And I also love showing a male voice on on the screen that's a different, you know, and he's, you know, he's a black man. And so I love showing this authoritative, kind, warm person sharing something that can really trigger stuff. So
Yep. Yeah, and when he does like the role playing thing, you know, his persona just is so like you can see him as the um sort of heavy disciplined parent, you know, and this is what I told you. But then when he is the kid who's receiving that, like you completely see that in his face too. So it's also just like visually just seeing this guy as well as his delivery and his content. Yeah, he's great.
something.
yes, completely awesome.
Did you add it onto the sheet? Where does it go?
Yeah, is that a podcast, right? He
It's a pod, he is a podcaster, he's a Instagram figure.
You know, I kind of wondered about having a separate sheet for like influencers, like those people that we follow on social media that will post their stuff. I honestly don't know half these people, whether or not they have, I imagine they have other presence. But it's just that I follow them, so that's how I know them, you know.
Well, and I
Um,
also think like I love transforming toddlerhood. She has an Instagram presence, but she doesn't really have a website. She has like her like workshops and stuff, but I get her emails and I love her emails. I make handouts from her emails all the time for my toddler classes. So I'm going to add a tab at the bottom for like listservs, you know, things you can sign up for.
mhm.
How do you spell listserv? Listserv.
Um, Good. So as we're talking about some of this other sort of online content, um, websites or YouTube channels, TED Talks, things like that. Are there any of those where I'm on podcasts now, websites, YouTube channels?
I get a I guess maybe weekly even. I get an email from the CICC, the Center for Inclusive Childcare. And the reason I like it, I don't actually like their handouts, but I love the content on them. But what I love is that they expose you to a ton of websites that are fantastic, and they're all research based, and they are a fantastic organization, agency in our state. And they can help bring pyramid model to childcare facilities across the state and coach for free. And so they're right in alignment with what ECFE is and does. So it's the CICC, the Center for Inclusive Childcare. And then I also get two others, Natural Resources and Faculty Finds. And I have to think about, one of them is University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, I think. I'd have to figure out which one is which, but both of them, Faculty Finds and Natural Resources, are listservs that I receive emails. I think those might be monthly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get one's from Edutopia, and who's the other one? Oh,
Mind
KS,
shift.
yeah, Mind Shift. And it's obviously, they're both of them are aimed at education, but I really, but they are short pieces that will also speak to community building and talking with families and empowering learners and research on SEL and things like that. So yeah, sometimes getting on those, and then you can always delete them, if there's nothing. But they'll have sort of like resources that are sent to you weekly.
Which one was that?
I'll put it in here and I'll also add it. I stopped sharing, obviously. Edutopia is one, and then the other one is KSTP, and it's Mind Shift. Yeah, the other thing that I like about it is I think it's through Mind Shift, they'll have those what's the name for it, Ellen? It's those pictures, the picture thing where people will now I'm gonna have to I'll come up with an example. It's like it's a graphic. So let's say that it's just like, here are the five things to setting boundaries for better relationships. And it'll be like a little picture, like here's a 1, do this, and picture 2, here's this.
Oh, like an infographic.
An infographic. That's it. Yeah. So, and like they'll have Sylvia Duckworth stuff, and then, but she's not certainly the only one. Usually it'll be a link to when it was shared on Twitter. Anyway, but I teach a lot with graphics, and so I've always liked things like that. And KSTP has a tendency to include those sorts of things. So
It took me 10 minutes to come up with the word clipboard this morning, Susan, so don't feel bad. I don't know.
something like, yeah.
Dang, you clip- you
It's
put
Friday.
Okay,
I
Angela.
know, I'm like the
again.
wood thing, the wood thing, the wood thing. Like
Yeah.
I could
There's
not,
a clip at the top. You put paper on
yeah,
it.
the wood thing, but they're not necessarily. Wood. Anyway, I don't know if anyone's shared, you mentioned pyramid model, Nikki, but it's NCPMI. Did we already, I think we talked about it a little bit last year. They have amazing handouts and visuals for families around routines, how to make a calm down corner. Like tons of really great stuff. Solution kit.
And
for
to
at
piggyback on
home.
that, they do, I think maybe, I don't remember if it's once a month, but they do also have a listserv that they are distributing their newsletter as well. And so it'll provide links for new resources or things that they're highlighting. So if it's, first then boards or visual schedules or whatever it is, it's a great way to just be reminded like, oh, I'm going to click into this. I have a little tip, a little trick that I use that I figured out some time ago, but it helps me because I mark a lot as unread and then they're like gone because I can't keep up with all of these publications.
Yeah.
In Google. So our district uses Google. If you type into your own search line, the word is, and then colon, unread, it'll show you a page of all of the things that you have that are only unread, all of your unread emails. And so if I find myself with 10 extra minutes, sometimes I'll go and I'll type in is unread and get through one of those newsletters. So just a tip for getting through some of these listservs, because the more that we subscribe to, we can't get through all of them, but it's really nice to hang on to them. And anyways, they're searchable within your email. And so good to still hang on to them.
I go a step farther and I create a filter for those emails. And you can do that in your Gmail, and basically like Good Inside, Becky Kennedy, she sends a lot of emails. They go straight to its own thing called Good Inside. And so it just, anything from Heather, for RDPED, that goes in. That way my email stays clean with things like from parents or things from like my coordinator or whatever. Everything just goes right into there. And that really helps me. So just like you said, Nikki, I'm like, whoa, I've got, 25 emails in there. I'm going to go through those. And it just helps keep the important things at the top of my email.
Do any of you use Angela Lansbury much anymore?
I really like her podcast.
Janet Lansbury,
Oh,
right?
Oh, Janet.
Oh,
Janet.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Angela.
Yeah.
For a second, yeah.
Angela's gone. Yeah.
Angela's gone. Bless her. I like Janet for some things. Her approach is really good, but sometimes I think she's a little too hands off. Like, but I do like her podcast because I can listen to her really quick, and she has some really nice, like, gentle parenting kind of strategies and solutions. I don't recommend her a ton though. I don't know why. Every now and then she'll have a really good podcast, and then I'll share that. But I like her. I like her stuff.
So I'm sharing, I get a daily, sort of a news wrap up. It's called the 1440, if any of you have heard of this. And I like it. Well, it has some ads in it. They're easy to scroll by and they're not obtrusive, but it's not sponsored by any in a particular group. Anyway, but it just has, it's like a news digest. And so, like there are little bits and they'll have them by different categories. And then at the end, they always have these super fun and interesting little tidbits online that are like, this link goes to the 15 most haunted places in the United States, just that kind of thing. Anyway, they had one the other day and I'm sharing it. I haven't listened to it yet, but it's a podcast called Twin Oaks, and it says, we visit a community in rural central Virginia that has been testing an interesting premise for decades, that maybe 3 or 4 or more parental figures are even better than 2. Yeah, so anyway, I haven't listened to it yet, but that sort of takes a village to raise a child kind of thing is always very appealing to me. And it was also different rather than just very insular to an individual family. So I share that podcast link with you. One thing as I listened to our conversation today, and anytime we share resources, people really eat it up and it's like more, this is what do we want, I think I'll just keep promoting that link to the spreadsheet because we're all busy and we're all going to forget and it'll like sit there and grow dust. So, but I'll just keep reminding people that it's available and and it's a living thing. We can continue to add to it. The other thing I'm thinking about is, what would you think of like somebody, somebody share a resource at the beginning of each meeting or at some point in the meeting, right? Because it generally comes up anyway. But if we just kind of make it a thing, like we're doing introductions and does anybody have anything you want to talk about today? It could also be, and who has a resource that they would like to share? And then it's out there, it's on video, we can have the information. If one of us takes the initiative, we can add it to the spreadsheet. And a lot of times it comes up anyway in our natural conversation. But this way, if there's a particular podcast or website or book or something like that that you've gathered through the week, and it's just like, oh, this is great. Like this will be a place like you can share that. Like you can go, oh, okay, Friday, I'm going to share this with the people about this. So again, just keeping this flow of all of these fabulous resources for us. All right, well, here we are at 1, wrapping up. Anything else anybody would like to share before we wrap up? As the rain comes down in the Twin Cities. Yes, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, so Susan, I have a little bit concern about, when we share this Excel, right? So when we have more and more, and the thing is people's time is so, most people are so busy and how can they, that will, I wonder, how do they know which one is the best and very popular? Like maybe we can put a volume, say degree of your recommendation, like a 5-star or 4-star or something like that, like that. So see, okay, there's this, if someone maybe like a review, like if because the whole team, if for example one book, the whole brainchild, everyone recommended, and then recommend like a read, so that makes the information more kind of easy to identify which one I can go first. That is some thought I'm thinking.
Yeah, like what's most popular right now,
Yeah.
like, because we
Yeah.
all look for 5-star reviews.
Well, and part of it, partly I was thinking, by having the why do you like it, then it's like a personal approach of this is why it speaks to me. And sometimes when I'll read stuff like that, it's sort of like picking a restaurant. Someone go, well, I really like the ambiance. And I could go, I don't give a fig for ambiance. Like that just doesn't, I'm not looking for that, and, but yeah. And so knowing, so that's again, I would say usually I love it. I think we want to make it usable to people, but the last thing is nobody has time, right, to doctor stuff up. So I would just say, if there's ways that you would see that the spreadsheet could be enhanced to make it kind of
Oh,
more helpful and focused for people's, selection.
oh, yeah, I can think about it like an easy way to, because right now we are designing this self-assessment tool and we are talking about this.
Yeah.
And also like if anyone had negative comments on something, so that is a alarm, say, okay, something, something maybe some people like it, but some people don't, right? So there's, that could be helpful because we are responding. We are responsible for this list when we are publishing this list, and we kind of, taking responsibility of what we are recommending. So I feel maybe we can just, like, okay, this one, someone has doubt on it. So, just be aware of that. So,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, it's a really good conversation about, like, I take zero responsibility. Like, to me, it's crowdsourcing. And so I don't, we're all professionals, and, if somebody recommends something that is somehow harmful to somebody else, well, shame on you. But I don't take responsibility for, it's just like we're all adults and it's all up to us to sort of vet other things, so you all can take responsibility for this. Like, I just created a spreadsheet. So, but yeah, no, I get your point though. Right. And,
I think that basically, usually if it's on the list, like it's worth a look. And I think you can kind of take a glance at something and be like, this is not what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for, because I think, like, I'm not going to put Elizabeth Pantley on the list because I don't like her anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, everyone who puts anything there, they really like it. I
like it.
understand.
Yep.
And I do like I do have a question. Like, I mean, well, okay.
no, I mean, and that's the problem. Honestly, it's the thing with doing a project or an activity like this is there's so many, like we could go in so many different directions. You have a rating system, right? You could have a comment area, like, but we're professional. I mean, we don't have time. Nobody is programming like a resource sharing tool like Goodreads or, something like that. And, however, if somebody wants to create something like a Goodreads for parenting educators, that'd be great, Anyway, so I certainly understand it, usually, I think it's just a matter of, just, it's out there and we do.
This Excel, this list will be like you know, because it's not only us, like some, I mean, this in this group, all are experienced parent educators, and but sometimes, you know, this someone new or, you know, like might add things to it because we do not know who will add to it. I raise this question because there's something on there I saw today. I think it's not from this group. Maybe it's there already before we shared today. I do not know who edited it, but I heard something concern about that thing. So yeah, that is why I brought this up.
Yeah, well, we could always, you know, if you want to, you can go in and add a comments, you know, like, or honestly, feedback, because the bottom line, you know, this is like start with the why. Well, the why is to provide resources that are from peer to peer, that are that we are recommending, or we are, you know, like putting out there. And just like we would, and it happens every single Friday when there's a resource, there's dialogue about the resource, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we were talking about you know, Jean Ilsley Clark's you know, affirmation bubbles, and it was like 5 minutes of a conversation about, oh, that's really useful, I use that, you know, is that still available, you know, that kind of thing. And or Ellen, and I know Ellen had to leave, but you know, I mean, Ellen will always give us her opinion, bless her heart, right? And will let us know, well, she only uses the first 60 pages of something, right? And
Yeah,
so
that's great.
it is about dialogue, helpful dialogue from peer to peer. And so that's also the challenge of formats. You can have a spreadsheet, and it's like, it's, even though it's collaborative, people can contribute to it, it isn't dialogue, it isn't interactive. And so does somebody take on the challenge of going from the spreadsheet to some feature in the spreadsheet that makes it interactive and having a dialogue, or is that for a separate thing? So, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I see it now. I mean, also like when the people they start to look at or choose, you know, they will look at it and see if that fits them, right? So they will decide which one to go. So, and they are professional trained, and I have, I mean, not, you know, it's not a concern. I mean, now I see better. Thank you for.
Oh, no, I think it's a great discussion, because it's,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's valuable to, you know, whether it's every 4 months or 6 months, be like, hey, today we're gonna look at that spreadsheet, and is there something that somebody thinks we should take off? Like, maybe that's an approach, you know?
yep, excellent, yep. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? There are many ways. There's many ways of, you make something useful, and then I think, like anything, it gets to be too much, too big, too onerous in terms of upkeep. And because for all of us, this is a side thing. This is just, you know, and but at the same time, we want it to be useful. So, you know, I really like that idea too, Sarah, of and so I'm going to put it on you to remind us. Maybe, you know, like we'll put it on a calendar or something like that, you know, revisit the spreadsheet. So, yeah, thank you, Yuji. I really appreciate
Thank you, Sarah.
for bringing up the conversation, because it's more than just this list of stuff. It is also peer conversation, which is also partly why, as we were talking today, I was thinking, you know, well, why don't we just make resource sharing a thing that, you know, like we invite that resource sharing, because in this kind of format, then we have the opportunity for dialogue, for questions, for comments. They have a new version out. It's also available in a podcast, and then it's much richer than certainly just seeing, you know, a line. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we are passing, but there are 4 of us left here. We'll wrap up for today. Thank you all so much. It's wonderful to see everyone on our.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
you.
everybody. Have a great weekend.
Yeah. Okay. Take care.